Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back. For those of you who attend Faith, I'm not so sure if it's good news or bad news, but we start tomorrow. So ready or not, here we come. Yeah, Peter, I'm not so sure. I know all this prep, though. I'm pretty excited to have kids back in the classroom. Anyways, besides, I do love teaching, yes. We are in, back to this. 1 Kings chapter 17, we've been talking about the life of Elijah. Now, we kind of just started in the last couple weeks. We talked about how Elijah obeyed God and God took care of Elijah. Kind of just as a precursor to that, we had talked about several kings who had done evil in the sight of the Lord and how God judged them for that. And even right now, God is judging with no rain and no dew in the land because of King Ahab's sin. But Elijah did what was right. Elijah obeyed, and God is taking care of him. God is providing for him. If you remember, we talked about a brook where God had told Elijah to go hide, and the ravens had brought him food and water, or food meaning bread and meat, bread and flesh. And then he got his water from the river or the brook. So the brook had dried up, and God had told him to go find a widow. And he told him where to find the widow. And he went there. Do you remember what God did for the widow and her son? That's right, provided food for her, provided food for the widow, provided food for her son, and provided food for Elijah by having that barrel never run out of meal or the flour that they would have used. And the crews never ran out of oil until the day the rain that was going to come, although the rain has not come yet, okay? So they're at the house, and Elijah is staying there. Elijah, it refers to a loft. He has a place that he stays. Well, the one day, the widow, something very, very sad happens. Something bad happens. Verse 17. And it came to pass after these things that the son of the woman, the mistress of the house, fell sick. Okay, he's going to get better, right? Well, the verse goes on to say, and his sickness was so sore, it was so bad, that there was no breath left in him. Boys and girls, if you aren't breathing, are you living? No, he was so sick that he died. Well, why would God do that? Why would God provide food for them and then have him die? Well, let's not stop there, okay, boys and girls? Let's not stop there. Let's keep reading. Okay, like a book where you have to read the next chapter. Verse 18, and she said unto Elijah, what have I to do with thee, O thou man of God? Art thou come upon me to call my sin to remembrance and to slay my son? She's like, what did you do? Come here to point out my sin? Did my son die because of some sin that I did? Verse 19, and he said unto her, give me thy son. And he took him out of her bosom and carried him up into a loft where he abode and laid him upon his bed. And he's like, what do you think he's going to do, boys and girls? Just leave him there? Who do you think he's going to talk to when he has a problem? That's right, Peter. He's going to pray. He's going to talk to God. He's going to ask God for help. Verse 19, 20, and he cried unto the Lord and said, O Lord my God, hast thou also brought evil upon the widow with whom I sojourn by slaying her son? Did Elijah have all the answers, boys and girls? No, he had no idea the son was going to die. He didn't know why this was happening. But who did he go to talk to? That's right, he went to God. Verse 21, and he stretched himself upon the child 3 times and cried unto the Lord and said, O Lord, my God, I pray thee, let this child's soul come into him again. He lays on the boy and he prays to God and prays, please, 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 let his soul come into him. He's pleading with God. Boys and girls, Elijah knew it wasn't something he was going to do, okay? He wasn't going to be able to heal the boy. Verse 22, and the Lord heard the voice of Elijah. It doesn't stop there. It's the good news about the Bible. It keeps going. And the soul of the child came into him again, and he revived. Okay, I have in there in my Bible, the Lord heard, and then I wrote in, and he answered. He didn't just hear and ignore. Okay, some of us do that. We hear, and then we're like, yeah, I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that. Okay, I'm going to pretend, I'm going to ignore. No, God heard when Elijah called out, and God answered Elijah's request. Verse 23, and Elijah took the child and brought him down out of the chamber into the house and delivered him unto his mother. And Elijah said, see, thy son liveth. Can you imagine that mom? When she knows her child has died and now Elijah has brought him back alive, breathing. Verse 24, and the woman said to Elijah, now by this I know that thou art a man of God, and that the word of the Lord in thy mouth is truth. Boys and girls, she was still growing. Okay, none of us are perfect. Okay, none of us understand God completely or what he's doing in our lives, and we just have to obey. We found that the widow obeyed. She did what Elijah had asked based on what God had asked. She cooked for Elijah. She took care of Elijah, and God blessed her. When she had another need, okay, because first she had the need of food, she has the need of her son dying. God takes care of her. Boys and girls, God sees, God knows. We talked about God seeing evil, but boys and girls, God sees our needs. God sees what we want, what we desire, what's best for us. Boys and girls, and God rewarded her obedience. She was still growing. She still had to learn. She admits now she knows. Okay, now she more fully understands than she had before. She'd seen the miracle of God providing food. Now she sees the miracle of God resurrecting her son from the dead. Boys and girls, always do what's right. Always obey. And let God take care of the rest. It was sad. In that moment, her son died. She did have to work through that, boys and girls. She did experience sadness. It wasn't all frilly, happy, joyful things. But boys and girls, when we do what's right, God takes care of us. Leave things up to God and do what's right. Obedience is extremely important. Do what's right in the eyes of the Lord instead of what's evil.